Bethany here and welcome to my channel. Today I am doing a hop with the Handmade Happiness and Card Hoppin group. We are doing a fall theme and I had the choice between Retiform or geometric, and I chose Retiform, mostly because I haven't done this technique before, and also because I seem to do a lot of geometric things and ideas, and I just thought I wanted to step outside the box a little bit, embrace more of my mixed media side. So I am going to talk through a lot of the ideas I have right now. First, I tried this technique and I love the results, so we're going to do this technique first. When you do a retiform technique, you are basically gridding up your paper. So I could do it in 5s or 4s. Usually it's 5 or more, it seems, but you would just have to pick what works best for you. I am going to do something a little different. So what I am going to do is the top left-hand corner, I am just going to tape down some alcohol ink tape. It's a very light tack tape. Cut it off with my scissors here. Basically, I'm going to drop a little bit of alcohol onto my paper right away. If some gets other places, it's fine. I'm not going to cry over it. Actually, I want to place it a little lower than where it is. But you see, it's a low tack tape. It might still, if you rip too fast, it might still pull up some of the paper like it just did on me. I want a little bit more of this coloring. So what I'm doing is I have Color Hive re-inkers. These are water reactive inks. They're not alcohol inks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one alcohol ink, which is my orange. This is the only alcohol ink I am using in this technique. But basically, I'm just going to drop it directly onto the paper. Create those little splotches and splatters. Not going to put a whole lot. But I did this on another piece of paper probably a couple months ago just to try it out. And I really love the results. If you're not putting a lot on there and you're not expecting to be able to move it around, it actually turns out pretty cool. I just thought this was a really clever thing to do when I saw the results. I was just experimenting when I initially did it, so I didn't think it would turn out actually. I had very low hopes for the turnout of this. Now I'm going to drop the lemon. The last Color Hive ink was the Independence color. And you'll see how, because it's water reactive, it's sitting on the top of the paper. It's not absorbing like the alcohol ink did. So now what you do is you add drops of alcohol. So I'm adding a little drop of alcohol here to get that ink spreading. Same here. Just a few taps of alcohol. And what it does is it doesn't necessarily turn it into an alcohol ink, but it helps it absorb and form other shapes than just the initial drops. And basically, this is now going to become the source of my color palette for the rest of my stamping. So using that yellow, red, and orange as my color base. And I'm going to add just a little bit more orange here and here. And let those move around. The alcohol ink came from just a cheap set I got off of Amazon just to try. When you're not sure if you're going to like something, just get a cheap one, try it. You'll know that already before you dive in that it's something that's not going to be the best of the best, but at least you'll be able to have something to reference and try out. I'm all for trying the cheap stuff to make sure that that's something that you really like. And especially if you can get something amazing and beautiful out of it, that's even better. It's not necessarily all about the materials you have. It's about how you try to use them that determines the final outcome. And I know that's very terrible to say in some people's minds, but I've lived that way for a very long time, and it works. And it also means when I do have the good stuff, I know it's worth, and I treat it accordingly. So that is going to take a little bit of time to dry, and I'm going to leave the tape down until it finishes drying. To speed the process along, I could go ahead and use a heat tool, but I don't want to bubble any of this up right now. It's still fairly flat, so as it dries, it's going to soak into the paper. It's not like the Geminino paper from Micro Forte or like any of the Yupo paper or anything. It's not going to glide or gloss off so that you could have movement. This is just a sponge soaking it up. And you'll see, speaking of sponges soaking things up, that I have inked up my fingers very well. I am going to go ahead and use some Purell and get it off fairly quickly. While this went and dried, I went and selected a few of the stamp colors I was going to use. So you'll see that because this wasn't a smooth Yupo paper, it did go a little bit beyond my initial line, but that's okay. But for right now, we're going to move on with the next portion of the technique, which is sectioning off. So I am going to create a straight line as possible using these lovely little orange Post-its. I'm basically creating a mask for my next section. This one, an angle just a little like that. Yep. So I'm going to grab some of these fall leaves, an acorn, and I'm just going to stamp away. So this first set of stamps, I'm using the Not Too Shabby September Stamp and Die of the Month, and that is a Thanksgiving set. So I'm going to do one stamp of this acorn and turning it a little, another stamp of the acorn, and then I'm going to use the Frappe, which is kind of a brownish orange. I'm going to use it for this leaf, and grabbing some English mustard, because in Wisconsin here we have yellow leaves already and they are gorgeous. So this is kind of a orangey, orange yellowish red, nice and bright. And I'm using Candied Apple from the Distress Ink line. Just have a little tiny one, and because I've run out of space, I'm just going to do the one there. Now I'm going to move that line and basically find where the rest of it cut off, keeping those Post-its down. Just put a stamp pad over it so I don't accidentally lift it off. Same thing here. I'm going to mask off the next section, which I think will be the largest section I'm choosing, and that will be the Windy Days. I'm going to use the Leaves That Are Blowing. It is a larger stamp, so I will use a larger stamp block. Let's go ahead and use Crackling Campfire. Ink it up really well. I want to get this one bold and beautiful right off the bat. I know when there are littler things to stamp on a bigger stamp, sometimes the inking can be tedious because you want to make sure everything is even, especially if you're not doing it on like a Stamparatus or a Misty or anything. You want that first impression to be the one. So I'm going to stamp it out a couple times. Now that one is complete, so then you can take it off and see, okay, yeah, made a really good impression. You can tell the difference between the two. So now, one thing I could do is I could just take this original one and remove it and place it right here, right butted up against the previous one, and then take this one out. Now I've seen it where people have pre-marked out where they want their lines. I'm just going with the flow on this. Don't have anything super specific in mind. But I'm going to use this pumpkin from the Not Too Shabby set that we just used. And I am going to use the Carb Pumpkin Distress ink. Ink it up really, really good. And then repositioning here. I'm going to put this cute little Peace Love Fall Maker Forte stamp set. I'm going to put something that I love, and I just had a cherry slice today, sweet as pie. Because how fall is that to have some pie? We actually bought a pumpkin pie today, and someone brought over a lovely cherry pie. So, to me, best of both worlds. I don't know. Let's see. I want more of a flat white. Try to get the whole saying in there. Perfect. Alright, so that whole area is inked up, and we are going to put autumn. Just the word autumn. Down. The more elegant word for fall is autumn. So it counts. I'm going to use the spiced marmalade. Just going to fit autumn right into that area. And now what I'm going to do is something crazy. I'm going to take the lemon. Remember, we used the lemon re-inker. And I'm going to just ink blend a little bit of lemon around the autumn to give it that distinction, a vignette, to really make that square pop from all the rest. And yes, the Distress Oxide is still a little bit damp, and that's okay, because it's adding a slight blur to the edges of the lettering, and it's very romantic, pretty, cute looking. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It softens the look of the text. Giving myself more space because I am literally running out. And I might go back and do some ink blending on this one. Give it a little distinction as well. And actually, I'm just going to blend right into that one. We're going to trade brushes here, but we're going to use the Spice Marmalade and just put a light vignette around those. Give it that orangey hue, a distinction. And we overshot a little bit here. If you do that, it's not that difficult to reblend. The tricky part is blending out that line, but it seems to be going pretty okay. We did lose one of the leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restamp that leaf. That was the leaf with the longer stem. And we'll just restamp it right over the top of the other one. And I believe I used the flat white for that. We'll just use the English mustard because I think that one will sit very nicely on top. Now it looks very elegant. And I'm going to go back and do the same. And this one, we'll just add a little bit of the Frappe. And I'm only going to do one light layer because I think that's just enough distinction that the point is made. Alright, so that panel is complete. And it seems I have run out of stamps I thought I would use, so I'm going to actually use the tree. Even though it's a little larger than the area, I'm just going to use the top of it. And I will use the flat white. Need a little more ink. Just a bunch of branches. And there you go. There is the card front. It did get a little warped on the corner here, mostly because I let that corner sit too long before I started trying to dry it, which is okay. Totally fine. I could even it out, but I kind of like the fact that that's just one line that is a little more romanticized. It's a little softer. It's not your standard Retiform technique then, but I'm going to keep it because I like it. It fits well with what I was trying to go for, and I really honestly don't mind. I am going to go ahead and put this on a card base. This is a pre-cut Cricut Joy card base. It is a little bit larger than the A2 size card. It's not quite an A7, but not quite an A2. It's kind of in between. It's like a, I believe it's a 4 1/4 by 6.5 card, which is a little weird, but it'll work. And I really like orange and red set off with that navy blue. I think it's an understated color combination for the fall or autumn that doesn't get used as often, but I really like it. And then I'm going to put it under a block while it dries. Now that this card has dried, you can see how gorgeous those colors really popped, how you can distinguish between each of the parts of the stamping, how everything came out. I really like the results. I will definitely have to try this with probably a stamp set that you look at it, it's cute, and there's so many cute ideas, and you just want to use them all. That's what I would use this kind of technique for. I didn't have a single fall set that had enough stamps that I was truly in love with, so that's why I created this little different look using the alcohol and water reactive re-inkers. And I like the results though. I think it's adorable. It's more cute in person, but those colors are super fun. So I hope you have a great day. Don't forget to check down below. I will have the link for the next person in the hop. Also, don't forget to check out our store. We have a huge sale going on. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And I hope to see you all soon. Don't forget to find the joy in your day. Happy making! Bye!